Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Retrieving Sanity with your host, Keegan, and our first interviewee, Nico.
Yeah.
And, well, you want to introduce yourself or?
All right. My name's Nicholas Moreno. Everybody calls me Nico. Of course, that's my name. Um, why do I go with like sobriety date and stuff?
Yeah, that'll work.
Um, my sobriety date is September 9th, 2020, and taking it one day at a time.
Uh, are you from the Dallas area?
Born and raised in Oak Cliff.
Oh, kind of rough, right?
Yeah, yeah.
um, what was your DOC?
My DOC at the end it was heroin and meth. I used to use intravenously.
Mm.
But be honest with you, it's I've always had some kind of DLC. Like I used to be an alcoholic as a teenager, alcoholic in marijuana, Xanax, and then it just slowly escalated to cheese, meth, and ultimately heroin and meth intravenously.
So just kind of evolved as you were going. Do you think that the gateway drug uh, like phenomenon is actually a real one? Like you keep chasing the high again that you first got, or is it a little different?
Not necessarily. I've always noticed that over time everything's kind of evolved. Like like you could say it could be um I don't know, not necessarily peer pressure, but just around the people that I was with and everything, and slowly evolved over that. You know what I'm saying?
Mm.
Like obviously you hang around enough people playing basketball, you're gonna start trying to play basketball. You know what I mean?
Very true.
Yeah.
See, I hadn't have thought about that too much because up in Amarillo, it's small and I mean, there's really not a whole lot to do besides sex, drugs, and alcohol.
Yeah.
But um, how long would you say you were actively addicted?
Actively, I'd say at least between since I was like 12 or 13. Like
Damn.
um alcohol was very frequent, but it started off with all right, so growing up I was introduced to everything the wrong way, like just the super wrong way. Like I was smoking weed or whatever in
Mm-hmm.
elementary school. Um, one of my older homeboys was just like, I'm high off weed one day, and then he's just like, I'm bugging him to make something to eat. And he's like, well, here, this is gonna take away your hunger. And it was just meth, It wasn't like this is a drug or nothing. It's like, well, here, you
Oh
won't be
shit.
hungry no more. And I was like at 13.
Damn.
And I wasn't like a constant meth user then.
Mm-hmm.
It was more like, experimenting, but also drinking all the time. It was a
Okay.
lot of drinking.
Uh, so it was. Would you say it seems that a lot of I know myself, my addiction, it started off like real gradual, like maybe on the weekend, and then it was like maybe twice a month, and then so on and so forth until it just became an all day, everyday thing. Uh,
Yeah.
would you say that was kind of how yours went, or was it like just right off the deep end?
All right. So it was you can say it was right off the deep end, but it was like more like socially, even though the people I grew up with were all stuck in the gang life and the criminal lifestyle. So there was no, oh, we're gonna wait till the weekend, we'll get a paycheck. Nah, this was just, you know, hitting licks and getting high and just, this is what we did on the Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. You know what I'm saying?
Mm.
Just extra more on Saturday just because it was a Saturday.
Yeah. Gotta enjoy the weekends, right?
Yeah.
Um, is there a certain factor that made you decide to get clean, or was it just tired and wanted something new?
I wanted something new. At the same time, like all right, so growing up in the lifestyle I was growing up, it was always balls to the wall, danger, active gang member or whatever. But at the end, it was I'm not gonna put it all on my daughters, but it was my daughters. They actually, my first daughter, when she was when my baby mama told me she was pregnant, um it was the first time I actually looked at something longer than a fucking week, because the lifestyle I was into, it was just like, I never I never had the privilege of saying, okay, at the end of this year I'm gonna do this, at the end of that year I'm gonna do that, or this and that or whatever. When she told me she was pregnant, I was like, oh shit. By then she was like 3 months. I was like, man, in 6 months there's gonna be a baby here. And then I remember my thoughts were like, I hope I'm alive to see it, or
Oh.
like, I hope I'm not incarcerated or something, because the lifestyle was, it wasn't like, it's just like every day it was some type of crime, every day it was something. Even if I wasn't committing a crime, I'm still going to the store with a gun on me, which is a
Mhm.
crime in itself. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like, it was just like, and like, I hope I make it to the end of this year free or alive.
Gotcha.
And I never thought like that before.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, that's good, man. I mean, not that you hadn't
Nah.
thought that,
Yeah.
but yeah, I've heard some guys, Nehemiah, they said they wish their kids were enough to make them get clean, but other people said that they couldn't care one way or another. Uh, do you think that's I don't know. I think it's kind of weird that you can have one or the other, but I know for me, if I were to have a kid, I would probably have the same thought process that you did. Uh, I hope I'm around for it. And some guys, I don't know if it's just the way they were raised, but they say it didn't do anything for them.
All right, so it's like this. All right, so I grew up in a broken home. My dad was a abusive alcoholic. My mom was always working, trying to make ends meet, and low key, always felt alone my entire life, and nobody was ever around or whatever, and didn't have no cousins or nothing. That's why I ended up in the streets running around. But then a lot of people could say like all types of stuff, like oh well, my parents weren't there for me, so blah 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 blah. My main click in my mind was I'm gonna be what my parents weren't. My mom, she wasn't an addict or nothing, but she was always working to support us, and she did her best. And she did very very her damn hardest. But like my dad wasn't around. We grew up like totally different. Jehovah Witness, no Christmas, no nothing like that. And then my mindset was I'm gonna give my kids everything that I felt like I didn't have, and I wanted to be present. I wanted to be there. And I'm not gonna say like it automatically clicked. You know what I'm saying? Because
Mm-hmm.
like you can't just all of a sudden say, I'm gonna step out this lifestyle and go to another one. Nah, man, it didn't happen nothing like that. That gave me a spark to actually trying to reach out for something. But to be honest, I couldn't get out that path. I tried rehabs. I tried open outpatient. Even ultimately, man, my daughter was not even 2 3 months old. I ended up incarcerated for my third gun charge, and my third gun charge was like the first they said 10 years, and then they said they kept on scaring me with the feds, and I was just fighting for it. And I ended up getting rehab, but court mandated rehab, but I'm not gonna say I did it perfect. I got out fucked up. By the time I was actually free, not necessarily free, I was still stipulations, all that shit. I was my daughter was already 2 years old. She was already walking and talking.
Oh.
But then when I was released, my daughter had no idea who I was because I only seen her in visitation rooms,
Oh.
and that hurt me a lot because she would cry. I would try to be there for her, but she had no idea who I was.
Yeah.
And that told me that I didn't want to be away from her no more. I'm not gonna say it was perfect after that. I was still stuck in my shit, but you know what I'm saying. You can't just all of a sudden, you know what I'm saying.
Mm-hmm.
I want to do something different. I want to live life different. That shit's a whole entire process. It's an entire process. But she was the slight spark.
That's real good to hear, man. And
Yeah.
uh, like that's actually kind of eye opening because
Yeah.
for you, it sounds like you kind of gave yourself the room to grow, to be that father that you didn't have. Would you say you beat yourself up in your addiction, or uh, did that kind of, if you did beat yourself up, did it kind of hinder progress of getting better, or anything like that?
All right, so yeah, fucking I was on this self pity party like a motherfucker, man. All right, so when my baby mama was still pregnant, I had this stupid ass selfish idea, and it was just so rooted in me, but it was dumb, you know. Um, I was suicidal. But see, I was suicidal as in like, you know, putting myself further and further in the streets. The house was getting shot up. I was getting into altercations in the streets. You know, a lot of violence. Heavy drug use. Heavy drug use. And I would sit there and I write letters to my daughter. I still got the tablet actually, where I'm telling her how important she is to me and this and that or whatever. Because you know, I still had that mind frame that I might not be alive. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Especially when dodging bullets. You know what I'm saying? And then next you know it, I had this retarded ass back ass mindset where like, you know, well, I'm gonna write these letters because if I die, at least you know that I tried, even though I wasn't trying at that time, even though I was not, you know, even if even when I attended fucking outpatient rehab, bro, I'm still getting high, you know, faking the drug test, you
Mm-hmm.
know, telling myself that I'm trying, but I wasn't trying, you know, I was not at all making a decision every day. Matter of fact, when I caught my third gun charge, I had left outpatient treatment. I went to go pick up my Suboxone script, and that's when I caught my charge.
Oh damn.
Yeah.
Um. So whenever you say you were on a self pity party, did you ever kind of thinking that whenever you started to get better, or for your daughter, do you think you were faking it till you made it? Do you think that kind of like tricked you into like planting that little seed to get better? Because it's not a night and day you wake up and it's just all good. But would
Yeah.
you say that just doing that little mind trick of like I'm at least trying, do you think that gave you uh like a little bit of a push in the right direction?
It fucking really did. All right. So the way my mindset was, it was like little shit pushing me every day. All right. So I was working during the day. I worked through temp agencies, warehouses, or whatever, and you know, uh, bro, nobody ever talks about this, but the biggest fucking part is identity. The biggest fucking part is identity,
Yes.
bro. And check this out. This is the way I could describe it, bro. It was like I was being a fucking a school teacher and a stripper at the same time.
Mm.
During the day, I'm fucking working, and I had this thing in my mind where it's like, okay, diapers. My daughter needs diapers. You can't sit there and say, okay, I'm gonna buy this many diapers and then she's gonna be good, because that's fucking impossible to come up with. You know what I mean? And you can't buy a shitload of diapers off one paycheck. So I was like, well, as long as I maintain my job, keep going to work. You know what I'm saying? I could be there for her. But at night, I'm still running the streets trying to flip drugs, trying to act retarded, still hanging around with the same dumbass people. You know, it was really an identity battle. It was really because I knew I wanted to work. I knew I wanted to be consistent. I knew I wanted to be there for my daughter, but I just did not know how to let go of who I thought I was.
Yeah, I understand. And that was actually something me and Lieutenant Kelly had talked about, uh, was the whole identity problem, because I heard a lot of guys say that they found themselves again. And I was one of those guys. But at the same time, while I was going through the program at Nehemiah, I had heard that we were addicts, quote unquote, whatever. And at first, I don't know if it was like the mindset that addict is bad or whatever, but I was like, I don't want to be labeled that. But whenever I got to thinking about it, it gave some guys a foundation of which to build their identity back on. and it didn't have to be something that was glorious and all that. It was just something to say, I'm human, this is me. And maybe being an addict is just a character trait, but it's not who they are. It's just something to build an identity off of. Because I know for me, I lost myself in my addiction because I was trying to make a new me, and that shit don't work. Not for me.
I'm fucking still figuring out my identity. But all right, so for me, when I actually admitted it and ran with it, that shit actually helped me a lot. You know what I'm saying? Like, all right, so I was clean for like 2.5 years while I was in the program, the drug program, outpatient. I mean, strict whatever. But I remember having a conversation when I was in Safe P, which was the last time I was actually was the last 6 month rehab
Mm-hmm.
and court mandated. And I remember I was talking to my homeboy, and my homeboy was saying this and that. Then I told him I was like, man, I shoot up. And then my homeboy was like, well, damn, you a fucking junkie, this and that. And I was like, well, look, bro, I said, I'm gonna tell you straight up, I'm a junkie, bro. I shoot up. Once I start shooting up, I can't. You know what I'm saying? I can't stop.
Mm-hmm.
I said, like, I'm an addict, and the more I owned it, the more it kind of helped me not say lose permission to do that, but help me recognize that that is a fucking big ass downfall that I can't control or nothing. You know what I'm saying? It kind of
Mm-hmm.
gave weight to the situation that the totally difference it was, bro. It's like I don't know if I'm making sense, but like
You
yeah,
are.
it instilled that fucking wanted too many thousand not enough. Cause I know once
Mm-hmm.
I fucking hit that, bro, I ain't no weekend warrior. I don't fucking know how to hide it. You know what I'm saying? It's
Yep.
you know what I'm saying? It's like a fight, bro. I'm all in. Fuck it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I'll never win.
Yeah, I know that whole not a weekend warrior thing because for me, as soon as I had just even a drop of alcohol, I had to go until I passed out. And then sometimes I'd wake up, go take some more shots just to go back to sleep and then start all over. But yeah, uh
in the way it's
yeah.
in the way it's a good foundation, bro, to identify like that, bro.
Mhm.
In the way it's to help me realize, you know what I'm saying? This is what I am and this is what I can be. You
Yeah.
know what I'm saying? There's don't get me wrong, there's people out there, there's some functioning addicts. I'm not saying it's a good thing or it's a bad thing, but I know I'm a fucking extremist.
Yeah.
I know that much.
Yeah. And so with that being able to say that you're an addict, like you said, own it, do you think that really kind of goes in with the you can't help someone until they want the help? And so that would kind of open up the door for you to work on it because if you don't know the problem, you can't fix it, right?
That's the whole fucking first step, bro. We admitted we're powerless, bro. Cause like, all right, so I know certain people that are like struggling. One chick reached out to me and saying that she thinks she has a problem, this and that. But then she'll sit there and justify, like, well, I don't do it every day or this and that or
Mm-hmm.
whatever. You know what I mean? Which is all cool and gravy, bro. But unless you're ready to admit that, as soon as I put this into my body, I fucking lose control. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
If guaranteed for the rest of the day, I'm not worth the fuck because I'm gonna keep drinking. I'm gonna fuck up or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And you can't do shit until you actually admit you have a problem. You can't do nothing until you stop giving excuses that you have a problem because that's a decision you have to make every single day, even without knowing it, bro. You know what I'm saying? And as soon as you justify it, you're fucking giving in. You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? And shit, ain't no telling when that's gonna end because that goes down the whole denial. You know
Yep.
what I'm saying? I'm gonna try this method. I'm gonna try that method. Maybe it'll work out better, and it's
Never
all
does.
all the same results.
Mm-hmm. It sometimes it's just how much worse it can or didn't get.
There's always a new bottom. There's always a
Yeah,
new bottom.
yeah. I remember hearing the term rock bottom, and I was like, oh yeah, I don't think I've been there. And then I hit there, and then I found out I can dig more, and shit sucked.
There's not a fucking limit to it.
No, there's not. And at Nehemiah, I saw guys like compare rock bottoms or compare their drug of choice. So like uh, the say like me, an alcoholic, goes up to someone that used an IV, and they go, "Well, I'm better because I didn't do that." But then you could sit there and say, "Well, at least whenever I was high, I didn't go beat up people. just for being drunk or something. It's
Yeah,
like, well, yeah, it's a losing battle either way,
uh,
and people are just trying to justify like doing stupid shit. And
yeah.
so,
That's that always complex. I'm the good guy because you're the bad guy.
yeah.
That's that complex, and I see that a lot, bro. I see that a lot.
Do you think you had to become your own best friend or best cheerleader to really get your ass into recovery? Like, not beat yourself up as much, but show yourself like compassion. Like, it's okay, bro. Like, you didn't get it perfect, but just get up and try again.
It was a lot of fucking. It was okay, so check this out. I remember I was explaining this shit to somebody not too long ago, but I was like, man, I remember fucking looking in the mirror and saying, man, this is not what the fuck it's supposed to be. This is this ain't player. This isn't what I really am. You know what I mean? And
Mm-hmm.
then you're fucking stuck in that, and then when you get desperate enough, you're gonna say, you know what, I'm gonna try this, I'm gonna try that. As crazy as it sounds, you know what I'm saying? Most of the fucking most of my motivation to get into the 12 steps was just like, man, this shit probably not gonna work, but I'm gonna give this shit a shot. You know what I mean? Like, like who? Because I remember the first time I went to an A meeting, I said, man, ain't nobody fucking nobody sober. Like that's impossible. You don't just stop doing drugs. You
Oh.
know what I mean? But like, you get desperate enough. It's not no fucking guarantee, but you're gonna say, you know what, I'm gonna try this shit out. You
Mm-hmm.
know, I remember telling John Manuel one time. I said, "Man, you tell me to do something, I'm gonna do it. Just cause I could prove to you if it doesn't work. You know what I mean? You don't know what you're talking about. Low key, some of the shit worked. Low key, bro.
Yeah, he was one of the guys that at first I was like, man, you're pumping his ass. And then the more I got to know him, I was like, okay, he actually knows some of his shit. Like, he has his PhD, right?
Yeah.
Or master's, I think. One of the two.
I remember we used to bump heads, and I used to hate that shit when you say, "Have you prayed on it first?" I'm like, "What's that gonna do?" I'm starting to do that shit, bro. I'm praying over shit that I don't know what, bro. But that's me more leaning towards the faith of my higher power. You know
Mm-hmm.
what I'm saying? It's not fucking guaranteed. It's not gonna happen overnight, bro. But like, gives me something to lean on. Cause
Mm-hmm.
I remember saying that faith is a big part of my shit, bro. Cause I don't know what it's like to be 10 years clean. I don't know what it's like to fucking live a perfect life or have everything under my name. You know what I mean? And
Mm-hmm.
you know what I'm saying? I ain't never seen it, but my faith is maybe it could happen. So I'm gonna keep pushing forward every day.
There you go. I like that mindset, man. Um, so I know we had talked about this literally right before this, but would you go back to the Meneniumaya if you needed to? Or was one time enough to make you go, fuck no?
Uh, If I fucked up, hell yeah, hell yeah, hell yeah, I would go back, hell yeah, cause there's not too many people that actually really care.
Mm-hmm.
There's not too many people that actually have like their low key a support system, bro. And I remember being in rehabs where it's just like, all right, your 6 months is up, get the fuck out. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But they actually have their doors open, and that's why sometimes I do attend Brighter Hope. And before we started having our house meetings on Tuesday, I said 10. You know what I'm saying? All city,
Mm-hmm.
and shit. If it came down to it, hell yeah, I would, because I feel like that is actually an open gate to people are actually really reaching out and helping.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's some heart in it.
Oh yeah. That place is the one exception that I've had with the whole if it sounds too good to be true, it probably is. And that place was like a free rehab for 9 months.
Yeah.
And the last three, you get to work, save up money, and then just like you always have somewhere to go back to. I was like, there's no way this is free.
How the fuck does that happen? You know
Yeah,
what I mean? Yeah.
yeah, and I think the way that we really pay for it is in time because it's 9 months and really giving up like that part of our identity that we want to change, learning how to surrender, give it over, and just say, you know what, fuck it. Like, I need help.
It's like the most like all right. So that was one of my big steps in surrender part, bro. Because I remember when I was out there running the streets or whatever, and and I knew I needed rehab. I knew I needed
Mm-hmm.
to get somewhere, do something. And I remember people used to like, I always had the excuse, but you go to rehab. Man, I ain't get caught yet. You know what I'm saying? I'm still free, bro. They ain't found nothing on me. I'm gonna keep going, you know. And fucking, I actually had to sit there and be like, man, I gave so much time away for all the crime and dumb shit I did being incarcerated. I was like, man, I'm gonna give these fucking 9 months and see what happens. You know what I mean? Low
Mm-hmm.
key was for myself, and I knew I needed to get away. I knew I needed to fucking reprogram my mind, get out that survival mentality, and fucking number one of my biggest surrender steps. I write that down. I was still doing step work earlier with my sponsor, and I was like,
Mm-hmm.
what makes you think that you're willing? I said, shit, I gave up 9 months, and I didn't get caught.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Uh, yeah. Whenever my parents were bringing me down from Amarillo, my mom had actually said, think of it this way: it's just you being like reborn because it takes 9 months for a baby. So imagine you're just becoming a new person essentially. And at first I was like, man, that sounds so fucking stupid. But I was like, I don't know, maybe because I was tired. I was beyond exhausted of all the shit I was doing. But I was like, you know what? Like, if it helps some people, maybe it'll help me too. But I still remember talking to Dar, my cousin. He was sitting there telling me about it, and I was like, yes,
Dar's your cousin?
yeah,
I didn't know that. Yeah,
yep.
yeah,
That because of him, I went down to Nehemiah because week and a half before I got to Nehemiah, I had tried to get a medical detox on alcohol, and well, I still ended up having DTS, and I woke up in the hospital, like the ICU, like what was it, 4 or 5 days after the fact, uh, and I mean, I woke up, I was tied to the bed because I was fighting people pulling needles out of my arm and everything, and I woke up and I was like, I need the fuck out of here. I actually signed against medical advice discharge, and then went back to my cousins, and I was like, I don't know what the fuck I'm gonna do, but I need help. And then Dar heard about it, and he reached out. His mom reached out to my mom, and at first I was like, yeah, I know I need rehab, but I was like, Dallas. I was like, I don't know. And then he was like, but it's free. And I was like, okay, if it's working for him and I know him, maybe it'll work for me too. And then he hit me with the, oh yeah, it's 9 months.
yeah.
And I was like, fuck. And he said one day, he was like, they can get you in tomorrow if you can make it. So that morning I was like, fuck it, I guess I'm going. And got all my shit put up and then headed down to Nehemiah the next day, thanks to my parents. And so, like, that's how I ended up down in Dallas. But yeah, Dar's my cousin.
Yeah.
Did you ever see his little brother that's actually much taller than him?
No.
Yeah, it's a weird family dynamic,
Yeah.
but yeah, I miss Dar, and he's actually up in Oklahoma with his little brother and his mom now.
Yeah, I got him on Facebook.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Fucking me and Darius stop. Yeah, trust me. Yeah, we used to work in the kitchen. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, little Dar.
It's funny. His full name is well, this is going online, so probably won't say it.
Yeah,
But I always knew him by one of his middle names. So whenever I kept hearing Dar, I was like, I swear I know that guy. Like, who is that? Oh, it's my cousin Shelby, but
yeah,
it's his first name.
yeah,
So yeah, everyone whenever they saw me and they knew I was Dar's cousin, some of them were like Kyle. He was like, ah, oh, fuck.
yeah.
And then Sesums was like, oh, hey, you're nothing like your cousin. I was like, well, I don't know if that's a compliment or not, but thanks. Um, let's see. Last question or two for now, since we're kind of on time. Uh, is there anything you would suggest to someone in active addiction or to a loved one of someone that's going through addiction, because I know it, like on my family, is really hard on everyone because no one really knew what to do. They know I'm hard headed, I'm stubborn as fuck. So unless I wanted the help, there's no talking me into it. But I know a lot of the pain that people feel is from a loved one being in addiction. So, do you got advice for or suggestion or anything for either the addict or the family of?
For the family, don't enable. Enabling is allowing it. You know what I'm saying? Enabling is like the worst thing you can do. Enabling is like handing someone a loaded gun to commit suicide. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes it takes the pain for us to actually reach out and get out. Enabling is like one of the worst things you could actually do. Sometimes tough love is actually the best thing you could do. Sometimes, you know what I'm saying? Like, don't get me wrong. They're trying to reach out for help or whatever. It doesn't matter how many times. At least, try to do something. Try to help understand and show them there's that way. But don't sit there and justify their addiction for them, because
Mm-hmm.
you ain't doing nothing but killing them a lot slower or really faster. Enabling was the worst thing. And for people in active addiction, man, there's actually a way out. Like, I know it took me a long time to realize, people actually stop doing drugs, sooner or later, you know what I'm saying? And you have to want it. Don't just sit there and say, okay, and don't depend it on, well, well, I just want to do it for my daughters. Because at the beginning, the spark was for my daughters, but my daughters aren't with me 24/7. I'm active in their life. I do a lot of stuff. I'm probably like one of the only baby daddies in Oak Cliff that files their kids on their taxes. But like, do it for yourself, because that's a decision you have to make every day by yourself, every morning by yourself, every night by yourself. That just for today shit is actually some powerful shit, because if you start trying to fucking build your future over fucking being one day clean, you're gonna fuck up. Just try to take it day by day and really find the source that's gonna say, this is actually for me. This is for better for my life. Because if you put it on anybody else, bro, as soon as they're out the door or out of eyesight, you're gonna fuck it up.
That's good advice. And I think a lot of people need to hear that too, especially the family don't enable.
That's the worst thing, bro.
Yeah, I've had to sit there and learn that with someone in addiction, you don't necessarily give up on them, but you don't take their shit either.
Nah, bro.
So, like you said, tough love.
Yeah, don't co-sign nobody's bullshit.
Yeah, sir.
Yeah.
But uh, well, I'm really glad that we got to do this interview. And once I get more questions and the podcast starts going a little bit better, we'll see what we can do next time.
Have your
Appreciate
people have your people call my people.
you. Okay. I'll have my roommate get your roommate.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you, Nico.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, everyone. Have a good night.